Hey, what's up guys, it's your boy Ruff Diesel here with Posing with Ruff. Today we got Ted as my model. He's very, very good looking. I hand selected him for this role here. And we're gonna start recording turns. Without further ado, anytime we're thinking about posing, we're gonna think about posing from the ground up. So what does that mean? Basically what that means is placing your feet in a proper stance. Now, usually that's shoulder width apart, but if you have a little bit smaller of adductors or thighs, I like for the thighs to be touching. So anywhere in between there, so he's already there, shoulder width apart. Then you wanna think about flexing your quads. Now, for most people, a slight bend in the knee is what I like to do. And then you kind of think of having screws in your heels is what I like to say, and you're kind of twisting out, contracting everything that way. Good, good, good. Now, a lot of people, what you'll notice is they'll also have a hard time flexing their upper thigh, their rectus femoris. You even see a lot of pros having that issue. An easy way, or one way to kind of see if this might be a problem. This might be the problem here. Is your hips are too far forward. You actually want to kind of bring those hips a little bit further back. Yeah, like a posterior pelvic tilt is what you call it. So you feel a little bit of pressure in that lower back if you're doing it right. So once the legs are done, then you just kind of bring your upper body into it. You want to kind of raise up, flare the lats out. If you want to hit a vacuum, hit a vacuum. You want to flex your abs, whatever looks best. That's my opinion. I don't think the vacuum beats abs every single time. I think it depends on the person. And this is pretty good. One mistake I commonly see is people really having their arms super high. They call that riding the motorcycle. You don't want to do that. You kind of want to have it like you had it, kind of bent down. That makes your biceps and your triceps look a little bit bigger, makes everything flow a little bit better as well. You're also kind of following the contour of that lat with that forearm there, which just looks nice. Next, we're going to quarter turn here. Boom. So with this pose here, you want your feet together, your feet touching. Some people like to offset the feet, so having one in front of the other, either way is fine. From there, what you're going to do is just rotate up here, keeping your hips facing forward. Perfect. And from there, you want to really contract this pec here, almost like you see those guys where they're doing like those side bench press things or the side machine presses. You kind of want to think of that to flex that chest. Another thing is his arm's in a good spot. Another issue I see people doing is they're covering their abs. He's not doing that, so perfect. On this side here, you really want to do the opposite. You want to stretch that chest out, and then kind of on the back end, you're going to be feeling your scapular retract, or those shoulder blades retract on this side of your body. Good. As for your arm, you can flex it completely down, especially if you got good arms. Just pop and lock that that arm there. For me, my biceps and my triceps aren't the best, so for mine to look a little bit bigger, I kind of have mine bent when I turn. Either way is fine. Just find out what works for you there. Another thing, when you're doing this pose too, is you want to be conscious of your obliques. Now, some people have a hard time flexing it or showing striations in their obliques. That just comes with practice. Even myself, I have to practice a lot to get mine to pop. Just practice rotating and turning. You almost want to think of like keeping your hips this way, contracting, and almost feeling like you're pulling with your torso when you're turning, and that should actually bring your obliques in quite a bit. So that's pretty good there. Now there's a lot of debate too on whether you should drop this shoulder or keep it even. Personally, I like to keep mine more parallel, more even. You look a little bit wider when you turn this way. When you drop it down, you look a little bit smaller. There is the debate that the judges are a little bit lower than you, and I will be going back and forth between using that. But in this pose, I really don't think it's too necessary for you to bend too much unless you're doing it to contract your obliques. So everything else looks good. Quarter turn to the right. The rear pose. So same as the front pose. Feet are roundabout shoulder width apart, slight bend in the knees. And this plays a huge role with your back poses. And this is something you can kind of think about with every single muscle that you have. A stretched muscle is very hard to contract. So I know it's kind of tough to think about with stuff that you can't see, but just think about your tricep. If it's stretched like this, it's a lot harder to contract than it is to like have it flexed already and contracted. So slight bend in the knee there. And then also what you want to do is think about your glutes as well. Now he has the old trunks on. Most trunks these days will be showing your glutes here. So I know for a lot of people that's something kind of, especially for guys, they're not used to thinking about their glutes. They're not bikini competitors. So something to think about, yeah, definitely. So an easy way to kind of flex your glutes is to think about abduction. So turning your hips outward, or your knees outwards, I'm sorry. So just like that right there, perfect, perfect, perfect. As for the upper body, same thing, kind of open up right there, good, and that's awesome, man. One thing I would like to also add here is a lot of people have a hard time flaring their lats. Now, what I'm gonna show you guys isn't a fix, like a perfect fix. You're gonna have to practice and get a good mind muscle connection there. But just to see how your lats should look flared, so relax for a second. Just roll that really far forward. And then what you wanna do is bring those elbows out. And that's kinda how, and then lean back. So now you can see how his lats are flared there. So that's kind of a good tip to kind of see what it should look like. And from there, you can kind of figure out what internally you need to do to kind of get those things to pop a lot more. Another thing is too with hamstrings, a lot of people have a hard time flexing the hamstrings. A quick tip too, just to see how they should look, is what you're gonna do is just do a single leg hamstring curl. Now when you're super lean, you should see, you can relax. When you're super lean, you should see all the details start to pop. And then you say, okay, this is how it should look. Because a lot of times people can't tell, and then it's just so smooth, the hamstrings are just smooth, and they don't know what it should look like contracted. So when you do that, you just get a good quick glimpse on how much detail you actually have and how much potential you have to show in that pose. Quarter turn to the right. So basically, we've already done this one. One thing I did forget to mention is to keep your glutes tight here as well, especially since they're showing now. Everything else looks good. And quarter turn to the right. Awesome, guys. So that has been Posing with Ruff, quarter turns edition. We will be back soon to show you the mandatories. Check that out on my next video. And until next time, peace.